It is the 10th day of July. Welcome to the Daily Report. Tonight, we tell you all that is happening in the world of politics, the social sphere, sports, and later on in the marketplace, we have the Principal Secretary for the State Department of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. We want to look at the numbers in the Hustler Fund, but first, let's take a look at the highlights.
Tonight.
Hakuna haja ya kujaribu kutumia njia ya mkato. Wananchi hawa ni werevu na ndio wanaamua vile Kenya itasonga mbele.
President Ruto now says there is a conspiracy involving unidentified foreign entities aimed at destabilizing his government.
Na wale wanajaribu kufanya mambo kule ngambo sijui wapi kupanga mambo ya nini, mimi nataka niwaambie Kenya is a democratic nation.
Also tonight, Murang'a police station under siege.
Sasa wakaanza kumpiga, mmoja akampiga na jebe akaanguka chini. Sasa huyu mwingine akachukua mti naye akampiga sana kwa kichwa, lakini nilipopiga duru wakasema hata yeye nyamaza.
Chaos rocks Murang'a police station as villagers execute a murder suspect.
President Ruto saying, let's have some tea. So if there were consultations about having a national dialogue, my view is those who are hurried and there wasn't a full consultation.
And Kalonzo opens the lid on the happenings before he rushed out from Raila Ruto joint presser as Raila disowns the handshake gospel.
Welcome once again to this live broadcast. My name is Hibaq Said. On sign language interpretation tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. To start us off, an irate mob on Wednesday overpowered police officers at Gashosho police station in Kigumo sub-county of Murang'a County and lynched a murder suspect who is suspected to have butchered his brother in cold blood in front of his wife and children, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
The scene turned dramatic at Gashosho police station as an agitated mob lynched minor Richard, who was in custody for the murder of his brother. The suspect had reportedly killed his brother in cold blood in front of his wife and children.
Kuja na mti na huyu mwingine alikuja na jebe. Sasa wakaanza kumpiga, mmoja akampiga na jebe akaanguka chini. Sasa huyu mwingine akachukua mti naye akampiga sana kwa kichwa, lakini nilipopiga duru wakasema hata yeye nyamaza. Hata mimi nikapigwa kichwa, nikaingia kwa jiko nikajifugia.
The suspect minor Richard, who was in custody at Gashosho police station, is said to have murdered his brother together with his other brother.
We have lost one of our friend here. Baba Shiro, tunampenda wote, tunamjua hakuwa na ubaya na mtu, lakini hao ndugu zake wote wawili tunatafuta na lazima tuwakanyange.
In their quest for vigilante justice, the mob blocked a section of Nyoka Road at Gashosho to prevent the police from transferring the suspect to Kigumo police station. The crowd are baying for his blood overpowered the officers.
Tumesukuma na makarao hadi wakamaliza hizo matia gas. Na sisi hatukuwa tunatambua, wamepiga hadi marisasi huku. Hadi wamemaneja hadi kumtoa nje tukamnyuria.
During the ensuing melee, police officers, having run out of tear gas and resorting to firing in the air, were overpowered. Several officers sustained injuries from the stones thrown by the mob, who then stormed the station and lynched minor. His co-accused brother was also attacked.
Askari wametumia risasi, kilia machozi, tear gas, lakini umati haukufa moyo. Wamemanage kumtoa na mwishowe wakampiga na akaaga dunia.
Kigumo Police Commander Nicholas Kiprono declined to comment on allegations of laxity among his officers, stating that an official statement would be released later.
Kwa hizo hapa wanaga hawasikiani na watu huko Kasoso. Kazi yao ni kwenda kukunjwa kwa kazi yao ni kuzida kwa baa wakikunjwa kwa baa.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi. Now, the government is still not clear on whether or not or even how much development will happen following the failure of the 2024 finance bill. This reality was on display when the CS for Roads, Kipchumba Murkomen, appeared before the Senate committee, saying his ministry has insufficient funds to finish up all the current projects, further revealing that the ministry had pending bills of at least 165 billion shillings, a matter whose resolution is also affected by the finance bill failure.
Wednesday afternoon on the floor of the Senate, cabinet secretaries were put to task to explain further some of the challenges their ministries are facing and the strides they have made. One of the key things which Kenyans are eager to understand more is pertaining the issue of development. The cabinet secretary for transport, Kipchumba Murkomen, casted doubt on whether the country will fully implement an infrastructure project going forward. This is due to the failure of the Finance Bill 2024. So far, the ministry owes contractors amount accumulating to 165 billion shillings, pending bills.
Kenyans are saying, why don't you take the little money? This year we are getting 25 billion out of we got last financial year, we got 25 billion out of a budget at 51 billion, out of a need of a pending bill of 165 billion. So the people of Kenya are saying, yes, you need 165, but why don't you take the 25 billion, finish Rironi Road from Wayaki to Rironi and complete the interchanges and they pay the contractor.
Pundits now aver that this now puts the country at a very challenging situation since the current government had a lot of promise to Kenyans. Another CS to face the Senate plenary was Soipan Tuya, who was grilled to explain how the government will ensure money spent for climate change action is not wasted by governors at the county level.
How do you ensure that the money we are sending to counties is not used as a way of, as an avenue for governors stealing money that is meant for a very good purpose on climate change?
Counties must come up with special purpose accounts. Actually, if they don't come up with special purpose accounts, it becomes an audit query and they cannot be eligible for more funding. So those are things that we need to look out. As senators, that is what you need to look out in your oversight role.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi was also grilled pertaining the welfare of Kenyans working abroad, more especially in the Gulf region, where cases of killings have been reported. While defending himself before senators, Musalia reassured Kenyans that the government is tightening all loose ends that rogue recruitment agencies use to avoid the set labor laws and regulations. He, however, alluded that 700 agencies have been identified and be registered.
The ministry works and mobilizes the diaspora through associations to raise the necessary funds to facilitate repatriation.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul. As the country's students prepare for the upcoming examinations in just 3 months, Teachers Union KUPPET is concerned over the fate of the exams, stating shockingly that despite the imminent deadlines, the Kenya National Examination Council (NEC) has zero budget to administer the national exams at the end of this year. Ruga Eval tells us more.
The council's budget has been cut to zero. So 3 months to the examinations. The National Examinations Council has no budget. So I don't know whether the government want to privatize the administration and marking of exams, or they want to administer it online.
Mboko Milema, on the other hand, chairman of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, has raised alarm over several pressing issues that threaten the stability of Kenya's education system. With only 3 months until national exams, the Kenya National Examination Council faces difficult decisions, potentially leaving them with only 2 viable options.
It means that NEC has got 2 alternatives. One, either not to administer exams because they don't have the budget to administer exams. It is our business to flag out that. And number 2, to surcharge the parents like they used to do before.
Even if they are undertaking austerity measures, education must be prioritized. So we are asking the Treasury and the Minister of Education to move with speed and reinstate the budget for the National Examinations Council, because Teachers are not ready to offer services for free.
The transition from grade 8 to 9 remains in limbo, as the Ministry of Education is yet to fulfill its promise to construct new classrooms. KUPPET suggests that these students continue their studies in secondary schools until the issue is resolved.
Grade 9 be moved to secondary schools. We did calculate the amount of monies that is required to build classes in the primary schools. It was going to about 24 billion.
After prolonged disputes, the president has finally assured that all junior secondary school teachers will be confirmed and granted permanent and pensionable contracts before the end of this year, providing some relief amidst the ongoing uncertainties.
Despite the challenges we have in the finance bill, we are going to make sure that we confirm all teachers under JSS before the end of this year.
Ruga Evil, TV47.
Thank you, Ruga. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka says he will not participate in the national dialogue convened by President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga. As this happens, Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga acknowledged Kenyans' disappointment over his appearance at the signing of the IEBC bill and the endorsement of the national dialogue process. The hotly debated dialogue process is expected to kick off on Monday next week. Apollo Kamau reports.
The Azimio coalition continued to pull in different directions on Wednesday on President William Ruto, Raila Odinga's sanctioned national dialogue process, with the Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka dismissing the multi-sector forum slated for next week, saying he cannot legitimize a dialogue by a regime that has failed Kenyans.
Kenyans are saying they don't need dialogue. There have been too many dialogues so far. So, and really this dragging of feet. We don't want to be seen to be sanitizing a regime that has fallen flat on its own tummy.
Odinga, in a meeting with Azimio senators, noted on his X account Kenyans' opposition to the handshake, saying that he has been informed by the leaders, confirming the message has reached home.
Baba unapoitana kuongea, ongelesha inji ipone.
Raila is simply saying that let us stay the course of the rule of law. And I want to urge all the players in the current political and economic stalemate that all the times dialogue will always win.
Kalonzo says he was ambushed during the KICC post-IEBC law signing ceremony on Tuesday, in a meeting where the president is said to have held lengthy consultations with Odinga alone before they emerged to brief the rest of the group, including his deputy Rigathi Gachagua.
I remember President Ruto saying, let's have some tea. So if there were consultations about having a national dialogue, my view is those who are hurried, and there wasn't a full consultation. What the country wants is fidelity to the rule of law, fidelity to our constitution, and the fact that Kenyans and Gen Zs in particular want their country back.
Ahead of an Azimio leadership meeting, President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party has also rejected the dialogue call, backing Gen Z's no dialogue but action demand, as questions emerge on whether the dialogue will even take off given the divisions.
Gen Z also do not want a corrupt country. What they are crying against is the mismanagement of the affairs of this country. And they have also given up on Ruto and his whole team. And that's why they have said again and again, Ruto must go.
With the future of the Azimio coalition looking uncertain in the wake of President Ruto's dalliance with Odinga, new political realignments are likely to emerge as critics continue to watch on what Ruto-Odinga unity means ahead of the much anticipated cabinet reshuffle. Apul Kamau, TV47 in Nairobi.
Thank you, Apollo, for those insights. A section of politicians from the North Rift region have fully endorsed President William Ruto's strategy to foster political class unity, advocating for the appointment of opposition leader to various government positions. Speaking during Senator Samson Cherargei's brother's burial in Mosoyot, Nandi County, the leaders noted that the country had learned a lot from the recent violent protests organized by the well-known Gen Z youth who have shied away from political affiliations in favor of a national agenda.
Hakuna kabila moja ambaye inaweza kuongoza bila kila Mkenya yote. Sisi watu wa Kenya wote, uwe Mturkana, uwe mtu wa Coast, uwe mtu kutoka sehemu mbalimbali, tunataka Kenya moja.
So mimi nakubaliana ya kwamba hata ikiwezekana we can even form a government of national unity, bora tukue na amani kwa Kenya yetu. Hakuna ubaya Raila Odinga akileta watu wake waingie serikali. Hakuna ubaya hawa jinsi pia wakichaguliwa hata wapate waziri waingie serikali. We have no problem with that.
Let us have a conversation that encompasses everybody else. Not just the political class, but also our youth and the major people who are facing this problem that we have.
Na kwa hivyo napongeza rais kwa kuleta baba, kwa kuleta president, kwa kuleta kina Kalonzo, kwa sababu hii ni swala nyeti kabisa kwa Wakenya wote. Kwa hivyo tutamuunga yeye 100% kwa huo mkakati. Sisi tuketi, tuongee, na nataka nishukuru vijana wa Gen Z hawa wamereawaken the conscience of this country, and we will support the young people to achieve. Kama ni ufisadi tupambane naye, kama ni ukosefu wa makazi vijana wapewe kasi ndio Kenya yetu iende mbele.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has summoned Dadaab MP Farah Maalim to appear tomorrow, Thursday, 11th July. Farah Maalim has come under fire over his remarks on the protesters, saying he would deal with them differently by killing 5,000 of them. And as George Maringa now reports, Wiper Party has vowed to take disciplinary action against the legislator.
The abrasive Dadaab legislator Farah Maalim's walls are far from over. If the summons by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission NCIC are anything to go by. This video has landed him in hot soup. Maalim claims he would have dealt with the protesters. Serious. However, appearing on a breakfast show on KTN News, Maalim said his words were taken out of context.
It's all editing, you know what I mean, and cutting and pasting and taking a word from here, another one from here, and putting it together. There's a lot of nonsense there. Really? And yeah. It's Somalis basically who would do that, and for other reasons. I mean, because I also weighed in pretty much on the politics in Somalia.
So you're saying it's been edited? It's not the true picture of what you say?
It's not the true picture. It's not the true picture. The one thing I said is that, look, when you have a failed state.
But you said this was an attempted coup.
In a sense, when you say that you're taking over State House, you're occupying State House.
NCIC, via its X handle, said it has summoned Farah Maalim to appear by 11 a.m. Thursday. The commission claims the utterances are likely to incite feelings of contempt, hatred, hostility, violence or discrimination, and affect harmonious coexistence between groups of different political affiliations in Kenya, contrary to Section 13(1)(a) of the NCI Act. Maalim's woes extend to his political party. In addition to facing disciplinary for voting yes to the Finance Bill 2024, Wiper Party has distanced itself from his remarks, and they did not stop there.
Regarding the conduct and the statement attributed to Deputy Party Leader Farah Maalim, let it be known clearly that the Wiper Democratic Movement Party distances and disassociates itself from these remarks by our party deputy leader. They go against our guiding principles and values as a party. Make decisions is that the Honorable Farah Maalim be de-whipped from all committees in Parliament, including the Speaker's panel. NEC also commented expulsion commends. NEC also recommends the expulsion from the party to the National Delegates Convention, NDC, the supreme organ of the party. So these are gone cases.
In a situation where arms of government and agencies seem to be rising to the occasion, thanks to the Gen Z protests, eyes will be on the outcome of the summons and investigations by the NCIC. George Maringa, TV47, Nairobi.
Serious. Thank you, George. Medical interns recently staged a two-day protest outside the Ministry of Health demanding immediate posting and fair pay. The ministry proposed solutions, but interns rejected them. With communication stalled and budget constraints looming, the future of 3,760 interns awaiting deployment remains uncertain. And Odida with that report.
This week, chaos erupted at the Ministry of Health as the Occupy MOH movement led by Generation Z escalated into a standoff after days of relentless protest. Calm has tentatively returned, but tensions linger over the fate of medical interns. For 2 consecutive days, medical interns staged a round-the-clock protest outside the Ministry of Health offices day and night, petitioning for immediate posting and payment according to the previous salary scheme.
All interns must be posted today, all with payments as per the CBA 2017.
However, according to the ministry, there are only 3 potential resolutions to the issue: posting all doctor interns at the recommended SRC stipend rate of 70,000 Kenyan shillings per month, wait for court's direction on 26 September, and using the funds allocated in the 2024-2025 financial year budget and post the interns as per the CBA rates in batches, something the striking medical personnel had greatly rejected.
We cannot leave anyone behind. There's no way you can post 552 people and then you don't give clear timelines on when you will post the rest.
According to the Health CS, at least 552 interns will be posted immediately, followed by the rest as more resources become available. The Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union KMPDU had demanded a monthly salary of 206,400 Kenyan shillings for interns. However, the CS deemed this unfeasible due to the withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024. And despite ongoing communication challenges between the ministry and the union, the question remains, is there hope in sight?
We don't know the progress today. And partly from the meetings, from the engagement I was having upstairs, was that it's impossible to have progress on this engagement if we are both demonstrating and sitting.
As of today, 3,760 interns are awaiting deployment across various cadres with a total budget requirement of 4.8 billion Kenyan shillings. The ministry had received an allocation of 3.7 billion Kenyan shillings for internships in the 2024-2025 financial year. Since January 2023, 4,156 interns have been deployed across 6 cadres, including 1,735 doctors, 1,214 medical officers, 496 pharmacists and 25 dentists at a monthly rate of 206,400 Kenyan shillings. Ann Odida, TV.
Thank you, Anne. The families of 3 people missing in Isiolo County are in distress as their desperate attempt to find their kin has proven futile. The 3 missing are alleged to have been abducted on Saturday last week. However, as per the family, there are no records of their kin's arrests or information on the same offered by security personnel. Sheila Chilangat reports.
The families of Issa Osman, Nura Abdi and Mukhtar Ali are in distress. It has been 5 days since their loved ones disappeared, and the alleged abduction occurred at 6 a.m. in Isiolo town last Saturday.
Family members have been abducted on Saturday, 6th July 2024 in Isiolo town and bundled into 2 black Prados and 1 white Subaru by heavily armed gunmen. Upon their abduction, they were quickly transported towards Nairobi as the last location of their phones is at Karatina.
As the days pass, they fear the fate of their loved ones as efforts to find them have proven futile.
He was told that the boys were picked up by DCI officers on tip-off and that they will be soon taken to court. Unfortunately, today, he is being told that it might be anti-terror officers who took the boys.
Their call to the government is to get them help in finding their relatives.
Hatujui wako wapi. Tangu walichukuliwa na security kwa hoteli ya 19 course hatujaona tena. Hatuna habari yote. Ni jambo la kuhuzunisha.
Reports from human rights defenders indicate that since the start of the protests against the government, there have been more than 32 arbitrary arrests allegedly conducted by security officers. However, CS Interior Kithure Kindiki stated yesterday that the government will take action against any security officers involved in abductions during the protests.
We want our families to be either released unconditionally, if found of guilty, be taken to court of law, or in worst case scenario, let their body be released to us.
Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila. The recent wave of Gen Z protests in the country has created a tough and fragile path for President William Ruto and his government. Apart from rifts emerging within the Kenya Kwanza government, the head of state has had to effect changes which some, especially his close allies, may deem uncomfortable. However, in his remarks today while in Kajiado County, the president seems to be changing tune over the source of his woes, now pointing a finger at figures which he claims to be in league with foreign powers working to destabilize his administration. Arnold Adidi with a full report.
Since the outbreak of Gen Z-led protests against the Kenya Kwanza government, President William Ruto has largely been operating within Nairobi, mostly indulging in administrative duties as well as meetings within the Nairobi's capital. However, today the president resurfaced for a public function in Kajiado County, where he commissioned the Kimuka electrical substation in Kajiado West. For several weeks, the Gen Z protests have proved to be a difficult taste for the head of state, further pushing him to make decisions, including withdrawing the controversial Finance Bill 2024. In the midst of the fast increasing pressure from the country's youngsters, the head of state is now pointing fingers at unmentioned foreign powers, accusing them of a plot to cripple his government.
Sisi ni nchi ya demokrasia. Na katika demokrasia, wananchi ndio wanaamua. Na wanaamua katika uchaguzi. So, kila mtu ajipange. Mimi najipanga hii uchaguzi tutakutana. Si ndio? Hakuna problem. Hakuna haja ya kujaribu kutumia njia ya mkato. Wananchi hawa ni werevu na ndio wanaamua vile Kenya itasonga mbele. Tunaelewana jameni? Na wale wanajaribu kufanya mambo kule ngambo sijui wapi kupanga mambo ya nini, mimi nataka niwaambie Kenya is a democratic nation.
Appearing to be defending himself against numerous calls from those who want him to resign, President William Ruto has asked the critics of the Kenya Kwanza government to give chance to the government of the day, stating that Kenyans will have an opportunity to once again exercise their democratic role, their democratic right in the upcoming general elections.
Tujue ya kwamba pale 2027 tutafanya mtihani na hawa wananchi. Na kila mtu atakuja na kazi yake amefanya. So, hakuna haja ya kusumbuana hapa katikati. Wacha tungoje hii mtihani, kila mtu afanye hii mtihani tuone nani wa kupita, nani wa kuanguka. Si ndio? Ama mnasemaje watu wa Ngong?
The recent developments also seem to have reduced President Ruto's foreign travels. Leaders who accompanied him today in Kajiado, including National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, accusing political figures for the misery that has clouded the Kenya Kwanza administration.
People who wanted to divide our country first along ethnic lines. Political scavengers, Your Excellency, who wanted to divide our country even along class lines. Those political scavengers, Your Excellency, we want to tell them to wait for the next elections in 2027.
Your Excellency, tumefurahi kwa maagizo kwamba wale ambaye wako na karibu na hizi laini kubwa za stima wapate stima.
As pressure from the Gen Z wing seems to stimulate changes in government as well as behavior change among politicians, Kenyans are now watching on the effectiveness of President William Ruto's efforts to address issues raised by the youngsters. Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Thank you, Adidi. The government has seized the exercise of exhuming bodies at the Shakahola forest. This is after the officers stated that they have exhumed all suspected graves in the forest. According to the government pathologist Johansen Odor, the search officers will conduct an inspection of the controversial Pastor Mackenzie land to ensure that all bodies have been exhumed. Speaking when addressing the media at the Malindi mortuary, Odor further stated that they have managed to exhume 453 bodies since the beginning of the exercise.
We are here in Malindi County Hospital mortuary, and we've embarked on the 5th phase of a post-mortem process of the bodies that we exhumed the other time. As part of the whole process, which started last year, whereby we exhumed a number of bodies at Shakahola area. In this 5th phase of exhumation and postmortem, we were able to get about 24 bodies, which we have here at the mortuary. Today we did a total of 6. The rest will continue on this week until we finish. Among the bodies we did today, most of them had turned to skeletons. I think because of the duration of time which has taken from the time they were buried to the time we exhumed. So they were skeletonized, so when a body is skeletonized, it's very, very difficult to know the cause of death because we don't see things we see is skeletons. So we didn't see any injuries in the bone, which can also help us. It's a reference sample. Reference sample is a sample which is obtained from the relatives because not many relatives are willing to come and be part of the process. So they promise that they are still continuing with the process. And within time, they'll be able to give us more results. I think our message is just be patient because even the process of extraction of DNA is usually very, very complex. It's not like a test of malaria or typhoid where you just go to the lab and get a result within a day. It's a very complex thing. And as I was talking to the analyst, because of the level of deterioration of the samples, decomposition, all that, they had to take to even run some samples several times to be able to come up with a profile. So
Sports News brought to you. Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni. In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of. At what point are you a wife? The minute you get married.
Welcome back to the Daily Report and welcome to the marketplace. Tonight, we're going to be handling the Hustler Fund. We want to look into the numbers. It is around 18 months old. We have the Principal Secretary here, Susan Mangeni. You're not new to this studio. Welcome back.
Thank you. And it is my humble honor to be here again, Hibaq. How are you? How have you been?
I've been doing very well since last year. We were even chatting up. I was asking you about a few questions that I had asked last time about including, some communities who are marginalized.
Yeah, we are having conversation about that. So to make sure that we reach out to every Kenyan if possible, because the whole purpose of the Hustler Fund is to come up with our credit score, which is kind of a new form of collateralization that then can give access to every Kenyan who is of the age to do business, to access credit.
Right.
So I know, for example, you asked me about how about the Muslim community, how are we going the Sharia compliant product. So we've had conversation around there, and we have people who are working out on different models.
Right.
So we hope very soon we roll out one.
And we are looking forward to that. Now, let's just touch base on a couple of the numbers that we have. What are we working with right now? How much has been disbursed? How many people are on the site? How much has been repaid? What are the numbers we're playing around with?
So 18 months so far, we have disbursed in terms of the loan portfolio, 54.5 billion to about 23.6 million Kenyans. And in terms of saving, remember we have a mandatory saving component. We have saved close to 3.2 billion.
Okay.
This is both inclusive of both, I mean the short term and also the long term saving.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So, PS, you're telling me that, of course, the customers or the number of people on this site is 23.6 million, 54.5 billion is the amount disbursed, and the savings is at 3.2 billion.
Yep.
Now, I was on the Hustler Fund site, the platform, of course, the customers, it says, is 23.2 billion, which is, you know, a bit far from 23.6 million. Million, I beg your pardon, which is a bit far from 23.6 million. 52.9 billion is the amount disbursed, and 2.2 is the amount saved, and not 3.2 billion. Where is this disparity?
2.2, I have here data because, like, I can give you and you can check. So we get, I don't know when that was updated there.
Right.
But here, if you can see, this is the data that is extracted today morning.
Right.
Which I have here, which I can share, and is extracted from the centralized system of our service providers. It's here.
Right.
Amount disbursed is 54.5 billion, and you can see it. I can pass it over for you so that you can go through it yourself. So we have a system where we report. Our reporting protocol is that every day we're able to update. So because we have two products, the personal loan product, which is the most popular loan, which this is the first product that was launched, and then we have the group product. So we get that system. So I'm in the reporting cycle where I get updated every day on the numbers as they are. So I don't speak from my mind. So I have here numbers, and you can even verify.
Right. Susan, the site that every Kenyan has access to, that we journalists have access to, the number is a bit different. Are you saying that it has not been updated?
Probably it has not been updated. You know, the last 3 days have been like... We've been in some sort of a situation room trying to address some of the concerns that were raised following the report of the Auditor General, who raised a few queries. It's normal. Auditor General raises queries.
Of course.
So because we needed to respond and assure Kenyans that all was well and there was no material loss. So we've been the last 3 days. So I will understand if it's not. But see, the way we report on daily basis is that so the reporting protocols, and remember the Hustler Fund, this is how it operates. So it writes on the telco, on both the telcos and the banking systems. So the telco gives it access, which is integrated within the national ID system. So you must be a Kenyan citizen, 18 years and above, but also you must have been registered through the mobile networking system. For example, you must be an M-Pesa customer. You must also be either an Airtel customer or a Telcom customer. So those two systems. So then from there, the signal is integrated with now the product. The product is settled at the banking system. When you see this digital loan being disbursed, it's not the mobile company that disburses. There must be a settlement bank, because those are the ones which are licensed to lend and probably to receive deposit. So it's woven around that infrastructure. So then what happened in our reporting protocols, we see it is because the technical part of it, and because the product is 100% digital. So we get these reports from those technical, the technical systems. So they keep on updating us. And where we get updated every day. So it is possible that our website will not be up to date, because then what happens to our website is that once it has been picked from the service providers, is when now somebody else now transfers and update on the website. So I'll understand why it's not probably up to date because of what we've been dealing with.
Susan, I think you would agree with me, between 52 billion and 54 billion is a very large amount of money being disbursed. In 3 days, that disparity is a bit huge.
Well, I do not, you can check when it was last updated. To be honest, I have not checked so far. And also probably because what we have here on day-to-day, remember we have 3 telcos. So those are the disbursement points, or rather the transaction points, the 3 telcos. So it depends. Are we reporting the one? And I will check out. Is what is on a website from only
because I can even
Safaricom?
Show you.
Let me check.
It's right here.
Let me check, because one thing that I know and that which I can tell is that this is not alive.
Right.
So it is not like a live where numbers, it's not a live environment. Because this one, the Hustler Fund data resides on these 2 systems, the telco and the banking. So if you are to go, and this is what we get, and I will say it is a telecom person and a bank person that keeps on centralizing this data and putting it where we sit. So probably whoever is supposed to update, I don't know when was this last done. I might be wrong, but if we were to check, I don't know when it was last done. But I'll say the most important thing is this, because if today you even asked our telecom partners and our banking partners, they will give you this figure because they've come from them.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully that number is
anyway,
thank
you. We are going to update this. We picked it up, and thanks for that revelation. Like I've said, it's been it's been a situation, kind of, because you can see this is about 23.2. This is 52.9. And amount disbursed, I said is 54. What I have here as of today is 54.
Because there's a difference of around 2 billion.
And you see, this is the difference about 2 billion where?
52 and 54 billion.
Yeah, so it's a matter of data. And this is the story. Data synchronization or reconciliation, I don't know, because this is what I have here.
All right. Susan, the Office of the Auditor General is as well saying that, of course, this particular fund has data issues, because I was going through some of them.
You can also tell from this scenario where we are discussing what is in the website. So it's a question of data, data reconciliation, which I will say this is one challenge which we admit, which is now coming out prominently, and I think which we are going to address to make sure that all our platform, be it website, be it media, are all updated, so that those Kenyans who can access the website, who can access, be it these day-to-day messages that we send out, can all be updated and can speak from the same.
All right. And now the Office of the Auditor General, I was telling you, was saying that this particular fund, which is one of, the largest projects of the Kenya Kwanza government, has a lot of information and data issues, because a number of things that they were going through, they were saying that they don't have enough information and the auditing came inconclusive. The Office of the Auditor General says that the audit reveals irregularities at the Hustler Fund recovery of 8 billion Kenyan shillings, loans that is in doubt, money which was disbursed to unregistered persons, and around 200 million. That brings it to 10.6 billion that cannot be accounted for. Where is
10.6 billion?
Yes.
I'm not so sure that's what the report revealed. The report said 10.6 billion probably may not be recovered, cannot be accounted for.
Probably.
And I think what the report of Auditor General in that particular issue was pointing to the repayment issue. Remember, so far, in terms of the capital, we put into this fund the last 18 months a total of 12.8 billion. Out of this, there is 5% mandatory saving, of which 70%, and this happens at the point of accessing the fund at that point. So 70% goes to pension, 30% goes to short-term, short-term savings. As and the pension is administered around the RBA, the retirement benefit rule. So meaning you cannot access it as and when you need it, but 30% you can access it within a period of 1 year. For example, last year on 30th November, when we were marking the first anniversary of the fund, we opened up and we asked Kenyans that you can actually, those who wanted to now withdraw their saving, they could draw, and we had so many people who withdrew their saving as we speak today. But you also gave another opportunity to them as a way of enhancing their limit. They could as well lock down their short-term saving for a period of 1 year, and within that period of 1 year, they will have a limit increase which is double the short-term saving. So in the sense that, and this is how it will work. For example, your short-term saving cumulatively was about, let's say, 30,000. So if you decided at that particular time when we open up the window to lock it down for a period of 1 year, so your limit now will be 30,000 times 2. So you now can access up to 60,000. However, because this personal loan products goes up to 50,000, so you can access the maximum, which is 50,000. And so we have so many Kenyans so far, more than 14,000, who are right now have a limit of 50,000 per transaction. And you know our transaction is not a daily transaction. You can transact as many times as you can, provided you repay it back. So we have those who are doing that, and I think you must have noticed that many Kenyans, probably even the website, giving feedback. You see, why am I being told to wait until 2 hours, to wait until 2 hours? One is because you've had the demand, the increase in demand, because every day or every minute you're having a Kenyans who is also turning 18 years, or a Kenyans also who has settled with a mobile number for maybe 3 months, because those are some of the eligibility criteria, and therefore onboarding. And then secondly, we've had the limit increase. We started off with 500 as the base lower limit, or rather minimum limit, and the highest at that particular time was 3,000. Then in February last year, we enhanced the limit. So those people who are borrowing and repaying well, we had those ones who moved from 3,000 who experienced 100% limit increase, 3,000 to 6,000. And that house. So then in December, when we did a second limit review, or rather refresh the limit, and then we also introduced saving-led limit, then we had, for example, this Kenyan who was borrowing, whose limit was 6,000. If this Kenyan was performing well, it went to 12,000. But also those who was performing well on the basis of the savings that they had populated or mobilized, and they did not want to withdraw, decided to lock it down, those ones were having their short-term saving being doubled to give them a new limit. So because of that, the demand is very high. Of course. And I've only putting 12.8 billion, and that's the portfolio that has been growing up to the 54.5 billion that we have disbursed as of today morning.
Susan, maybe let me just quote what the Office of the Auditor General's report read. It says, in these circumstances, the recoverability of outstanding loans totaling 8,219,087,056 shillings, because every shilling is very important,
in doubt,
could result in loss of public funds.
Good. So
in contrast, Susan, in the same financial year, of course, the Exchequer did give 12 billion shillings for the Hustler Fund. There's 8 billion that could not be recovered.
So first of all, let's try to understand, Hibaq, which period are we talking about? What audit review period are we talking about? We are talking about an audit review of 7 months.
2022,
Yeah,
right.
from the time when we did the launch up to 30th June 2023.
Right.
And within that period, remember, this was a flagship project of His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. And during campaign, he made a promise to Kenya because we went across the country and we had those grassroots economic forums, and many Kenyans, especially those at the bottom of the economic pyramid, raised their greatest, they decried the cost of credit. And the fact that
the matter of contention is the loss.
So I'm coming to that, and maybe if I give you that context, you'll understand why.
Right.
I do not think that, yes, she raises, and when she raises, what she's just reminding us is that we need now to tighten recovery measures to make sure that that money does not get lost. But let me give you this context.
Right.
So when Kenyans say that when Kenyans decried, majority of Kenyans decried the cost of credit, and I'm being very intentional here.
Right.
I'm not calling it financing, I'm calling it credit.
Right.
Because credit means you borrow and you have to repay.
Right.
And because of the high interest rates that now, because majority of those Kenyans are often seen by the mainstream financial institution as high risk.
Right.
And they do not have means of production, they don't have the title deeds, because most of them are women and young people who do not own a land, therefore they don't have title deeds, they don't have logbooks, they don't have all those conventional collaterals that are required in the mainstream financial markets.
Right.
So they say some predatory lenders, especially operating on digital platform, had taken advantage of them, and they were really hawking very expensive loans to them. In some instances, I'm building. Let me, if I want to respond to you.
We need to go for a very short break. I'll just, I would implore you to maybe sum it up into a sentence.
Okay, let me sum it up. So, so the context is, why did we launch this fund? We launched this fund, number one, to first of all, support Kenyans into building up their ability to borrow, or rather to access affordable credit in the mainstream financing. And how do we do that? We had to see how can we transform or how can we revolutionize the collateral system in this country, in our economy, so that majority of Kenyans, majority of them, quite a number of Kenyans who are not in formal employment and they do not have title deeds and all those manner of collaterals that are needed, can also access this credit and in the financial market, not necessarily only in the government institution, but in the mainstream, in the private sector. Because we may not, as a government, have enough to give everybody and to sustain. We need to build the ability and the capability so that they go outside there. So having said that, we are only at 18 months. We did not have a way through which we'll establish with this Kenya that can borrow and repay. So we had to run some sort of a credit census, and that's why we open up this facility to every Kenyans 18 years and above who has had a telephone or rather mobile money experience for about 3 months. Yeah, And when I come back, we come back, I think I'll be explaining to you why. I don't think that this 10 billion will go unrecovered, because it is a process we're doing. We've now established who are these Kenyans who borrowed one or who do not have the willingness to pay, or we are able now to tell how many of our customers have no ability, or when it comes to the credit sector, it's always a question of whether you have ability to pay or the willingness to pay. So those Kenyans who have defaulted over there, we want to interrogate and see if it's just they have refused to pay or they have ability, and we'll come up with measures that can be able to ensure that they repay.
Right, and I'm already saying that one of the numbers that the OAG gave us is that around 81 million, which has been unaccounted for, are from closed accounts, 129,000 closed accounts. So we can say that that 81 is gone. We go for a short break. When we come back, we look at the numbers even further.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of. At what point are you a wife? The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
All right, I'm here with the Principal Secretary, the State Department, MSME, and we're just going through a few numbers from the report from the Office of the Auditor General, and we're seeing some of the things that they highlighted is that 238,707 persons were issued with loans above set limits amounting or exceeding even 219 million. Persons not eligible who accessed loans are 5,070. 11,213 people were issued with additional loans of 161 million before repayment, meaning they got another loan and they hadn't repaid the other loan. 129,315 people or accounts were closed with a pending amount of 81 million shillings, and 5 accounts withholding around 3 trillion shillings. Only 2.7 billion, I beg your pardon, 2.7 billion was accounted for, 259 million was not accounted for. Let's start with the closed accounts. You were telling me, why are these accounts closed?
Hibaq.
Yes.
The issues that the Auditor General raised are issues bordering on the data reconciliations, because we have two systems. The one that runs on telco, which provides the access points. If you dial *254 hash, your certain vital details are captured, and you see you must dial on a number and you're already registered with the national IDs.
Right.
So, and then from there you get registered to the product, to the now product itself, the personal loan products, through the banks. So the banks does what we call like vetting to make sure that you're not multiple dipping. In other words, if you come through Safaricom, they make sure that you have not borrowed through Airtel or through Telcom. So they're the ones who maintains a centralized system. So during the audit, and this is the response that our development partners gave, provided to the Auditor General, and given the nature of the products and the process that will be involved to query the number, the audit process, the system audit, was not done in a live environment. You had, the Auditor General had to extract the data, the data sets from the two systems, move it to a location and do that. Like any data, and if you were to discuss this with any data person, will tell you, you are likely to experience those challenges. You can extract, and we, in that process, get to truncate certain segment of the data. So what happened? Then when the Auditor General queried, because that's a normal process, if certain joints are not connecting, and then they say, what is the risk here? So she raised and she wrote a letter to us for management response. We sat down with our partners, and they were asking now each one of them to query the system using the sample data sets that she had provided. So when they were querying the system, they realized that you could trace. A Hustler Fund has got so many traceability points. Number one, when you're accessing Hustler Fund through the phone. Through your phone, you must have an ID to have a phone, because all our telephone numbers have been integrated in the phones. The second traceability point is the mobile money wallet that you're operating with, because your wallet sits within the mobile money. If I'm M-Pesa, it sits. That's why you are asked about your PIN number. And you see, like any other digital product, like example Safaricom, M-Pesa, you've had us being warned several times that please do not reveal your PIN number. You can only get frauded.
Before Susan, we move too far, you know, from, we don't want to go off tangent. The auditing was done after the financial year was completed. That was when the auditor came in and went through, of course, all of these, the data and all of the information that you had. So it wasn't something that was ongoing. It was a financial year that was ended. One thing that I got from the report is that there was late submission, and the Office of the Auditor General said that there was a late submission of financial statement, and the management submitted financial statements for audit on the 26th of October, which was 27 days after the statutory deadline. So already, Mekasirisha auditor, the audit also revealed irregularities at the Hustler Fund, recovery of 8 billion Kenyan shillings loans in doubt. You know, the money is going to be disbursed to unregistered persons. That is 8 billion to I'm quoting the Office of the Auditor General, unregistered persons, loans worth 200 million.
So it's not possible
with
to
a
be
duplication of IDs.
That's why I'm going to respond to duplication of IDs. I've said, and how that one probably it came about. Number one, it is not possible to receive Hustler Fund without being registered. And then like I've said,
the OAG came up.
And like I said, she did not do audit in a live environment because we have two systems which have to be synchronized.
But the financial year was ended, so it wasn't in a live situation.
It was not. No,
had already been
you can still do. You know, you see, this is a live product. You see, and the customers there are live. But it's not something that, let me tell you, it's not that this year I bought this book, it ended. Because remember, it's not that every financial year we have a new set of customers. So you've closed the account. You do not close the account. So this is what happened. You go to the system because it's a live system continuing and which will live many financial years. So, but you have the specific date when we started the product. So you just extract the data. It's still live, but you just extract the data, which is still running from the point of when we started up to the point when the review period, you determine the review period. So she moves the data. And remember, this is digital. So we are talking about not just any data, is millions of data that we are talking about. Because the transaction which you're talking about is 60. So far, we've had 66 million, over 66 million of transactions. Those are not a small number of hits. So what happened? And this is how we, and whenever an auditor general raises a queries, she just wants you evidence to show that it is not what she thinks that could happen, that there is no risk.
Right.
So our service provider had to interrogate the system. And you see even the ledger books and everything that she was asking, these are digital because they operate on that platform.
Right.
So when they met, and this one also explains why we submitted even the financial statements late, because for us to submit, we don't just submit hard copies like you think this way. We have also to be up to date with the data to show that this year, this is what we have, this is what, and reconcile every data point. So this is what happened.
That's notwithstanding, Susan. Let's just focus on what we have then. Of course, there was the issue of duplication of loan
Hibaq,
IDs.
if I explain that, you'll see why.
Exceeding amounts that was taken as well. There were people who were accessing loans that were not eligible, 5,000 people.
It's not possible, and that's why I said
then
that
how
was just
did the OAG get this information?
And that's why I'm giving you the process, that during the audit process, since it was not live and she had to extract, in the process of extracting that data, and any data person will tell you that can happen, some data were truncated, and after that, when she raised those issues and she flagged out the data sets, we went, because she needed a management response, we went back to the service providers who took time now to run through and requery the system, and they were able to provide evidence that, for example, the over 800,000 people which she had flagged out that she cannot see at what point were registered, they were able to provide evidence that it was just a question of data truncation, which but here are they have contract ID, they have loan ID. So now, let me tell you.
Are you saying now that the OAG has been given all the data and there's going to be a report
so this is what
is going to ensure
absolutely
that the Financial Inclusion Fund does not have any questions?
Absolutely. And you know, remember, this was the first audit, inaugural audit that we were having, and you're going to have many more sessions, audit session with the Auditor General. And Auditor General also, she operates within a certain constitutional timelines. So this is what happened. So when we presented the management responses, because this is a fully digital product, for her to come and verify, because what usually happens, she says, give me the evidence. So we give her the evidence. It's not a question I come here, Hibaq, and we discuss and say it is this and this. Right. She has again to come and re-verify the systems to establish that the response that we have given now meets her criteria or now clears out the queries and doubts which she had. Right. So that one we provided, but this was her answer. She said, now you have provided this. However, it needs, I cannot go by what you're telling me. I have to come and re-verify the system. And I can tell you, we have this week, we have received a letter. She's coming again. The team is coming again to do again the financial year. And as a procedure, there is no way, even as you embark on the new, on this now 2024, the year that has ended 30th June 2024 financial year audit, you cannot start without also seeing how those queries of the previous year. So we know we have an opportunity right now for her to come and verify, and we'll want actually to call upon her and say this time round, we will be glad if she can do this in a live environment, so that when the report comes out, it becomes so easier to synchronize and to harmonize, reconcile the data, so that we don't create doubts among Kenyans on IDs. Let me tell you what happened. So when you borrow Hustler Fund, especially if you're a telecom, I'm telling you, so when you sign up to Hustler Fund and you are onboarded on the product, you are given a loan ID, and that's what you call like a contract ID, which now kind of defines you. Now, and every individual beneficiary has that. So what happened, let's say your limit is 10,000, and this happened mostly with telecom customers, is 10,000. You decide to, first you want to access 1,000. It maintains the same ID. And then before you know, so long as you're still within the loan period of 14 days, the first 14 days, and you've been given a limit of 10,000, you can do top-ups. So I've taken 1,000, maybe tomorrow I'll take 2,000, before I pay, I'll pay 3,000 within that loan period of 14 days. Right. But beyond so, the ID is maintained, the original ID is maintained because it's the same principal amount which you borrowed. So it doesn't change. So those were some of the issue and clarity that has been made. Then you are talking about closed account. You cannot close account when you are having a saving component. We don't close the accounts. The accounts were not closed. Like I say, it's just a question because we maintain accounts of each and every individual hustler fund beneficiaries. You cannot close when you have people's savings. Where shall we credit their interest at the end of the year? So there is no account which is closed. Like I say, it's just a question of data, which is now being synchronized. And then this is a system. It's a technology system, which now the banks and the telcos has to be integrated. And sometimes you may never achieve that immediately. You meet these challenges and you improve and improve. I want to believe in the subsequent audit, some of those challenges may not arise again.
All right, Susan, just so we're clear that we're on the same page before we go on another break, you're saying that there were no persons who were issued above
it's not possible.
Limits, all right? That there were no persons who are not eligible, who are accessing loans. You're saying that people who are issued with double loans, the 11,000 people do not exist who had not paid previously. You're saying there are no closed accounts. And of course, all this amount is going to be accounted for.
All the amount that has been given out can be accounted for. For example, we know who still has an outstanding loan. We know who they are. They've been defined. You can be able to trace to them. And the question of eligibility, maybe it's just a question of what is the interpretation of eligibility. Like we've said, all Kenyans who are 18 years and above, and they've had a telecom line for at least 3 months, which is 90 days, are eligible to this. So when you are defining eligibility, so long as you meet those basic criteria, you're already eligible. So, and there is no way, and I've just gave you an example, my dear sister. We've been warned several times. Weka pini yako ni siri yako. The only way you can get swindled out of the money in digital lending platform, especially the mobile one, is when you volunteer certain access information. And in this case, tell me, how do you swindle out 800,000 IDs? Where do I get that? I mean, how do you create it?
We will be going back to this conversation and we're going to be touching on that. However, we just got news that very sadly, the High Court Judge, Justice David Majanja, has passed on. This is what we know so far, that Justice Majanja passed on at the Nairobi Hospital on Wednesday, July 10th of this year. Preliminary reports indicate that the judge had checked in at the hospital for a surgery and that Justice Majanja was first appointed as judge of the High Court in 2011 and was until his death stationed at the Milimani Civil Division Court. He was sworn in as a member of the Judicial Service Commission on May 28th of this year, and this was after he was re-elected to represent the Kenya Magistrates and Judges Association on JSC. Justice Majanja was first elected to the JSC on May 14th, 2019 for a 5-year term. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Go for a very short break. We'll be right back.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Hibaq ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
Sina imani na Hustler Fund. Kwa sababu pesa ile utaomba, utapewa kidogo, upewe vile unataka. Yenyewe ukipewa tena unafuata after 2 weeks unafuata ulipe, pesa utalipa utazitoa wapi? Niliomba nikapewa 500 after 2 weeks na itisho hiyo 500. Na mimi mwenyewe sina, niliomba hiyo Hustler Fund nisaidie, hakuna chochote.
Nilichukua 500 Hustler Fund, nililipa. Basi sijajaribu tena, lakini wako sawa, wanasaidia.
Kweli tuna imani nayo, lakini limit yake wametukazia sana kwa limit.
They started giving small amounts. The minimum amount initially ilikuwa 500. So with the current economy, 500 is ni pesa kidogo sana, because within 2 weeks you're supposed to pay back. So which business can you do with 500? Within 2 weeks imekupea profit na ikupe the amount to pay back.
So kama mimi mfanyabiashara ukinipatia shilingi 500 hata iwezi nunua kitu. Sasa kama hizi kuku ambazo nimenunua kama leo, nimenunua almost 700 to 800. So ukinipatia 500 hata kuku moja iwezi. So hiyo pesa mimi kama ningeulizwa ingeweza kupeana pesa mzuri ambayo inaweza saidia mfanyabiashara.
Ilikumbwa na ufisadi. Wengine wanapewa nyingi, wengine wanapewa kidogo. Ningesema hiyo Hustler Fund isaidie.
Walikuwa wanasema hiyo pesa ambayo tuna save watakuwa wanatupea interest. Walifika mahali wakaondoa Hustler Fund wakakuwekea zero limit. Swali ni je, hiyo interest kwa nini haitupeagi update mpaka leo?
The last speaker is who I want us to concentrate on. One of the things that the Office of the Auditor General highlighted was a failure to disclose interest and from customer savings, and it clearly resonates on the ground as well. What's happening?
So, Hibaq. Yes. This Hustler Fund product is a very unique product, even in the manner in which it is being operated. This is a prototype. It's the first product of this nature that we are having in our economy. And it's a revolutionary product because of how it's leveraging on the existing infrastructure from the private sector. Right. So why did we come together? I see, first of all, they're saying, okay, 500 is kidogo.
Yes.
But Hustler Fund, we have aspiration to come up with many more products.
Right.
So the personal loan, and we called it personal loan. And I don't know if Kenyans understand what is a personal loan. Personal loan is not necessarily for business. Right. We don't use the scoring criteria, the one that you can use on business, looking at the viability of business and stuff, to give you that loan. We gave you because they're saying it's only 500, but these are same Kenyans who have been borrowing on digital platform, and you know them. I don't want to mention them.
Right.
And they can borrow as little as even 200. When we sat down with all these sector players, the telcos and the banks, they told us the average loan ticket size in the digital platform, the Fuliza, the whatever, all those ones, was about 200 shillings.
Right.
So people Fuliza even up to 100 bob, and it's happening.
Just to cut in a little bit, this loan was meant to ensure that Kenyans, run their businesses. They're telling you 500 is not enough.
So listen, this loan was meant to support you to build up your credit score,
right,
so that becomes your entry point to accessing higher loan limit products. Because majority of Kenyans were being predated upon by digital lenders who now are saying, because you don't have security, you have to take this loan at a higher interest rate. And many of them could not do any sensible business or any sensible activity out of that. I'll give you an example just on that. If you go to Kikomba around that time, you'll find a mama mboga goes to Kikomba at 5 in the morning, gets another person who deals in money, and anampatia 1,000, and tells her, leave your ID. Then in the evening, you return 1,100. So that's already 10% per day. That was predatory. So when people say, but over and above, it was to help us now come up with a national credit score that will give every Kenyans a key to access other loans. And it's not just that. So personal loan builds your credit score. Now that credit score will now put you to the group product. What is so we have the second product, the group products. You come together jointly, probably as 10 members, because the minimum is 10 members. So my credit score, for example, gives me, Susan, a loan limit of, let's say, 12,000 at this point because we enhance, and someone else gets 12,000. If you are like 10 members and you wanted to borrow about 100,000, you can borrow. Then we have a third product, which is SME, which we are now working on. And today I can tell you, we have Kenyans who started off with 500 shillings and they are borrowing 50,000 because they've been able to demonstrate a good borrowing behavior. They borrow when they have a purpose and they repay within the credit period of 14 days, or they can roll over so that then they pay with an enhanced interest of 9.5% per annum, which is prorated daily, and then they have been growing. So what we were determining here was a behavioral thing that we are working out so that each and every Kenyan, especially the 8 million Kenyans, remember, we also found at the beginning of this administration, we had about 8 million Kenyans who are in CRB. So these 8 million Kenyans, once you are in CRB, you are kind of condemned, you cannot borrow, and whoever you had borrowed earlier and probably felt you defaulted and reported you to CRB and you are listed negatively, cannot give you a second chance to repair your credit. So we said, Kenyans, they are our responsibility. We need to enable them to have ability to access credit. We will put in fund as the government to give them a second chance to repair their credit. And even those ones who are not in CRB, who are majority of Kenyans, by borrowing, they start building a credit reputation which can now be believed and be trusted in the credit market outside there.
Right, Susan, we're on a time crunch, so I think we have like a minute. Maybe if we could just address the issue that I had pointed out.
Of the interest.
The customer savings issue, the interest. The people are saying they're not seeing the interest accruing up. The OAG is saying they have seen a failure to disclose interest and from customer savings. What's happening?
So by the time when, during the audit review period, which the year that ended, June 30, 2023, we were still negotiating the interest with those that are service providers in that regard. So by December 1st, from December 1st, after the following the anniversary, we agreed on how much the Hustler Fund beneficiary saving should earn. And we negotiated a rate of the T-bills -3. So at any given time, when the T-bill, let's say, is 15%, then the Hustler Fund savings will accrue an interest of, let's say, 12%.
Is that accessed by...
So what we did, yes, we credited. So what we did, we backdated up to November 22, 30th, when we did the first disbursement. So what I want to tell our good friends is that when we opened up for the saving and we say you can withdraw, those savings were credited. So we're able to credit the interest rates. But again, because now it is worked out around the T-bill -3, the investor, or rather the fund administrator who was now supporting us in investing that interest, because the money cannot just sit there. We worked out how much money had been saved. So every individual beneficiaries got to be topped up with the interest.
So
and this will happen again. So we agreed every year at the end of every year, we'll be topping up the interest.
So they will see it at the end of the year?
Yeah, they will see it at the end of the year.
Right.
It will be topped up, your interest rates, and especially those who chooses now to lock down, they will be topped up. And every Hustler Fund beneficiary account is there, can be traceable, and even the money we are saying was lent out in default and everything is traceable. So I want just to assure Kenyans that there is no money. Allow me Hibaq also because the late Justice Majanja has been a household name to us all Kenyans because, and I want to take this opportunity also just to relay my condolence and say that Kenya has actually lost.
Right.
We've lost a leader in the legal sector, and I think many young people were looking up to him also because his career has actually been progressing well. You know, he has handled so many cases, so many landmark cases, and I think many Kenyans have not had issues with his judgment. And so to the family, we say pole.
Our sincerest condolences from TV47 as well. This has been The Marketplace. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Let's continue engaging on social media, but for now, it's good night from me. Have yourselves a very lovely Wednesday and Thursday tomorrow. Good night.